guys. I hope you're having a great time in your group tonight. Just want to take a minute and just set you guys up for your discussion today. Most of you know, we just kicked off this brand new series called Bold. We're looking at the book of Nehemiah. And this is a part of our kind of halfway point of our Uncharted initiative. Those of you that have been around for the last year or so know we're in the middle of this initiative called Uncharted, kind of based on the life of Abraham, where God takes Abraham to a place he's never been before, that God had not yet even shown him where he was going. And it's sort of this idea that over this 2-year journey that we kicked off 1 year ago, that we're asking God to take us all to a new place we've never been before with him, a new place in our love for him, our passion for his kingdom, and that the overflow of that would be that we'd all go to a new place in generosity. From those of us that have been giving sacrificially for decades to folks that this is their first time investing in kingdom giving, first time in their lives, all of us going to a new place in generosity, and that the overflow of that would be that LifeChurch would go to a place we've never been before in the impact we make in Northern Nevada and around the world. And so we're 1 year into this journey, and God's been doing so many things in our lives, but we don't want it to stop. We want to continue on for this next year. And so as we kind of think about all that, we're looking at the life of Nehemiah and talking about what does it look like to live a life of bold faith that leads to a life of bold impact. And so kicking off this week and yesterday, or actually this Sunday, whatever day you're meeting, it was this past Sunday, we began in Nehemiah chapter 1. And so I'm just going to read that to you and just share a few thoughts. Nehemiah chapter 1 and verse 1. Now here's the context. It's a little bit over 500 years before Jesus would come. What had happened about 100 years prior is that the Babylonian Empire had conquered the nation of Israel and that they'd gone into exile. And then through this time, the Persian Empire had become the preeminent empire of the day and kind of taken the place of the Babylonian Empire. And so that's where we catch up. It says, the words of Nehemiah, son of Hakaliah, in the month of Kislev, in the 20th year, while I was in the city of Susa. Hanani, one of my brothers, came from Judah with some other men, and I questioned them about the Jewish remnant that had survived the exile and also about Jerusalem. So what had happened is after the Babylonian Empire was no longer in charge, the Persian Empire began to treat the people of Israel with greater freedom and greater kindness. And so some of the exiles were allowed to go back to Jerusalem and to begin to resettle. And it says, they said to me, so Nehemiah asks these people, it says, what's going on in Jerusalem? What's going on there? What's happening with the remnant? And they said to me, those who survived the exile and are back in the province are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates have been burned with fire. And then it says this, Nehemiah said, when I heard these things, I sat down and wept for some days, and I mourned and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. And so what's happening here is we're seeing the tone set for the rest of this book, where Nehemiah gets this vision that would lead to this mission that God would call him to, that would be transformative, not just for his life, but for the whole nation. And it's this incredible adventure of faith that we see in the life of Nehemiah. But it begins right here, where God gives him a vision for his life, a vision for his life that was bigger than just what would happen just for him, and that was bigger than just his comfort and his convenience and all of the things that we tend to think of what makes a good life in terms of the health of our own families and our own relationships and everything happening with us. He gets a vision bigger than what's happening with him, and he gets a vision bigger than just what's happening right there where he was. He hears about these people that are in great trouble, but the fact of the matter is Nehemiah himself wasn't in great trouble. He was the cupbearer for the king. He was the cupbearer for the king, and to be the cupbearer meant that you tasted the king's food and the king's wine to make sure nobody was poisoning them. And so it could have a little bit of danger to it, but it became much more than that. It became where you would become very close to the king and become a key advisor to the king. You're living in the palace, you're drinking the wine the king drinks, eating the food the king eats. You were living as much like a king as anyone could other than the king himself. And so life for Nehemiah was awesome. But then he hears about these people that are experiencing great difficulty and great pain, and that God's people were experiencing this great disgrace of the temple's been destroyed, the city's been destroyed, there's no wall to bring security, and there's this great difficulty for these other people. And what happens is Nehemiah gets a vision that's bigger than just what's happening with him and his family and what was surrounding him. It's bigger than that, and it leads him, as we're going to see the rest of this book, to take bold action. But before bold action comes a bold vision. And I guess my question for you today is, do you have a bold vision for your life? Do you have a life that goes, a vision for your life that goes beyond just, hey, I want to have a family that loves me, and I want to have a comfortable house, and I want to have a comfortable job, and I want to be able to have enough money to retire one day, and I want some good friends and some good hobbies? Really, do you have a vision for your life that's bigger than the American dream? And really, that's one of the things about this Uncharted initiative, is that it's causing all of us to step back and say, God, I want more than just what's good for me and mine, and I want more than just comfort and convenience, but I want to play a part in your story. I want to play a role in connecting the things that connect to your heart. That's what happens with Nehemiah, is Nehemiah's heart connects with God's heart for people that are experiencing great challenge. So Nehemiah's heart connects to God's heart, and Nehemiah's heart connects to these people that aren't geographically near him, that aren't experiencing the same circumstances he's experiencing, but his heart connects to the problems they're experiencing. His heart connects to God's heart, and it leads to this vision for his life that is bigger than it had been before. A vision that would invite him to get involved in God's activity. And that's really what Uncharted's all about. It's really what this Bold series is all about, is God doing something fresh in us that's bigger than just the American dream, bigger than comfort and convenience, but it's our heart connecting with God's heart. It's our heart connecting with people, some of them we'll never meet. Whether they're people that go to our Carson campus or our Sparks campus, or maybe you're in Carson and people in the Reno campus that you may never meet. Whether it's people in Bolivia or India or Costa Rica that maybe we'll never meet. Or maybe it's people that are impacted through the Fish in Carson City, working among the vulnerable, or the Eddie House, working among teens that are at risk and are experiencing homelessness. People that you may never meet. People experiencing things different than you're experiencing, but your heart begins to connect with God's heart. Your heart begins to connect with God's heart for people experiencing great challenge. And you say, I'm not content to just sit around and feel sad, but I'm going to do something. I'm going to get engaged. I'm going to begin to have my resources flow in the direction of this new vision. My time and my talents and my possessions are going to now flow in the direction of a vision that's bigger than just me and mine, my comfort and convenience, people that are like me, people that I know. It's connecting to God's heart, and connecting to God's heart for people that are experiencing challenges. And so I just want to invite you to ask the question of, where's my vision? Am I settling for a vision that's too small? Maybe you'd say, man, I don't even know if I even have a vision. I've just been trying to survive. But I want to say, God has more for us in this season. He wants a vision for us that's bigger than just the American dream, bigger than just surviving. This vision where our heart connects to His, our heart connects to His heart for people that are experiencing challenge. And so I pray that you have an awesome discussion. But first, I want you to check out the story of what God's doing in a life of another family at LifeChurch.
Hi, I'm Megan. This is my little girl, Kaylee.
I'm Jordan. This is my son, Evan. This is our Uncharted journey.
I grew up in a Christian home, and I came to faith in Christ when I was about 4.5 or 5. Grew up in Northern California, and shortly after graduating college, met Jordan at our church that we were going to at the time.
Got married in 2017, lived out in Santa Rosa for 6 years together, and then moved out here in August of 2023. So I run front of house audio, mixing here at LifeChurch for the last 8 months.
when we moved to Reno, I was a month away from my due date with Miss Kaylee. And so we knew we really needed to get plugged in right away at a church for no other reason than we really needed some help. So we got plugged in with a life group and connected with a bunch of people. And, of course, I was obviously very pregnant. And so there was everyone, oh, yeah, let me know what I can do to help. Maybe we can come help you unpack. Well, 2 days after that meeting, I went into labor with Miss Kaylee. We needed that help right away. And our group came around us. Someone came to watch Evan so that Jordan and I could get to the hospital. We needed a ride to the hospital, and another couple from that group came and drove us to the hospital to get us there. And it was just such wonderful provision of community from God, and we felt so very blessed.
When the Uncharted series started, we started talking very seriously about what was the right level to give at.
Uncharted came kind of right at the time where it's like, okay, yeah, we are plugged in here. Now let's, hash out based on new income and everything. What are we tithing?
We made the decision that we just finished selling a house and that we were going to tithe on the income we'd received from that.
The calling to give what we did from the proceeds of selling our house, that was something that was above and beyond kind of what we had initially even thought about. But we felt God clearly calling us to do it. So we did.
After that, we were continuing to live in the apartment that we were in. We'd had a couple of issues in our apartment where we lived on the second floor with concrete stairs, and we'd had a couple of injuries. We happened to look online at housing in the area.
The perfect house for us in the perfect location with everything that we needed, and so much of what we wanted was just right there for us.
God had given me a price. We negotiated and landed on that price to the dollar.
All of these things came together and lined up so perfectly.
Being able to move into our own house that was all single story and eliminated those risks was just a complete blessing and totally God's hand.
Mm-hmm. And it's very clear to me that was God's provision, that we were faithful and God was faithful back to us. Because he is faithful. He is always faithful.